This is the transducer, not connected up. The two end wires are connected to the two copper tubes at each end of the energy tube, and that's it. The capacitor is a rotating. Don't take notice of that. I've not connected it up because it starts off automatically. It's what energy in air to form nitric and nitrous oxide by comparison. So, okay. This is the reaction tube. The coil is connected to each end of the tube and generates a high voltage, and that ionises the gas, and the coil compresses it. I call it a coil ion compressor. I call it a coiled ion compressor. This is the second stage where this is the winding, the green is the winding, and the red is the plasma. And the coil is oscillating at 10 kHz, and that induces a current in the plasma in the opposite sense, and therefore repels it and makes it smaller. And as it gets slowly gets smaller and smaller, and the pressure goes up because the force is the same in the area is smaller, and it carries on getting smaller, and the winding current sheet is 7,000 amps at 10 kHz. The capacitance of the coil is the tuning capacitance, so there's no need for a separate capacitor. Now it's got even smaller, the pressure is higher. Eventually the pressure gets so high that a fusion reaction occurs, the pressure being 10 to the 10th pascals or 10 to the 20th pascals, and that initiates a fusion reaction which makes it hot, fuse, and explodes and goes against the current in the winding, the green winding, and therefore induces a current in it called by the Chatillon's principle. The process of change, and slowly starts expanding again, and that's against the coil, and therefore produces electricity. This can then be tapped off in a separate source and used to power other equipment. The regulator is a simple gas discharge tube set at 6,000 volts, and that limits the voltage to 6,000 volts. So I have to put a fuse in it too in case the current's too high. This repeats until it stops, runs out of fuel. That's all. And that's my invention. That's a picture way of doing it, which shows the mechanism. And every time the voltage rises, it strikes an arc through the coil, through the gas, and therefore ionised. So it stays ionised, and it probably as it glows as it is ionised, and but the actual thread of reactive gas is very, very small in the middle and just comes and goes as the coil oscillates. The current goes up and down. Makes a sinusoidal oscillation driven by deuterium fusion, producing helium. The helium is tapped off and that deuterium recycled. We have a way of doing that with the diffusion chamber, because helium diffuses very quickly, and so it can be trapped. And that is a byproduct which is saleable. You can use it, you can sell it. I think it's not helium-3 because the more neutrons are produced, make it helium-4. Reaction is deuterium plus deuterium ion, goes to He3 plus 1 neutron, I think it is, and that goes on to produce helium-4. Very few neutrons escape, they're all absorbed by the gas. So it's a very safe system. When we built this at the Rutherford Lab some years ago, 1969, I don't think they understood it, and I didn't understand how it worked. But it did work, and we powered a quarter horsepower electric motor from it. It ran at 120 hertz, I think it was, and it was a much bigger coil, and had a tiny capacitor on it which didn't do anything, but it helped. I remember I was quite young and just played with it. I didn't understand it. It started with a valve, a big 3 kilowatt valve. But now I know the deuterium starts off by itself. But it has to be specially adjusted to do that, if it does. And with air it does, because the air forms carbon, nitric oxide, nitrous oxide. And that's laughing gas. Both are toxic, keep you high. It actually generates electricity in the process. But it starts spontaneously, I think, therefore it will with deuterium. I haven't tried it with deuterium, but that's the idea. It carries on until the deuterium runs out and it's left with helium. Might go a bit further, and further up the chain. Pressure's very high. Thank you. That's all, folks. I was inspired to build this device because of global warming. But when I did it in 1969, there was no global warming. But we predicted there would be one, and we did build it in case. But they never used it because petrol was used universally on the basis of the economy.